Which vocal do you want? Guitar. Guitar.
seminars today, and you're about ready to cut loose, am I right? As good as those seminars, I'm sure are, sometimes a little hard to sit still. So today, we're going to just loosen up and we're going to have a great time in the Lord. We're going to worship Him today in truth and spirit. We want you to join in with us. First of all, I want to introduce everybody in the band real quickly. Over on guitar, Mr. Bobby Murphy. Back on drums, the Ayatollah of Drumola, Dan Olson. Over here on the blue guitar, Mr. Jeffrey Wheaton. Our lead singer and keyboard player, Roger Austin. Yours truly, bass player, Jamie Blakely. And we need a little help with this next song. You know, there's so many people that are running in all kinds of different directions. And unfortunately, a majority of the people are running away from God, and we got to convince them to run to God, because God is where it's at. He's where we find our forgiveness. He's where we find our love, our true love. So I want to see today if you guys know how to turn around. Now, there's a place in this song where it says, time to turn around. And when we come to that point, I just want everybody to turn around. So let's practice here. Time to turn around. Just... Yeah. Okay, kind of fair. Let's try it one more time. Time to turn around. You're running the wrong way.
book of Romans that nothing in this world... Yeah, you guys can sit down if you like. Oh, you like that idea, huh?
People in the back, we can see them now. Hi, people in the back.
Cool, cool. They can see us now, too. You know, it says in the book of Romans in chapter 8 somewhere, it says that there is nothing in this world, no matter what, thrones, principalities, anything in heaven, on earth, in the future, and the present, that can separate us from the love of Christ. And, you know, anything in this world can happen to you, no matter what, unexpectedly. There's one thing you can always count on, and that's that Jesus Christ will never, ever leave you alone.
1, 2, 3.
Was walking late one night, thoughts rushing through
Yeah.
All right. You guys having a good time so far? Just checking, just making sure. That's cool. Yeah, you go to one of these things, you have a tendency to get pumped up a little bit. You know, you go to a teen convention or you go to a week of camp, you know, you sort of get pumped up for the Lord. How many of you guys are pumped up for the Lord? All right. I think that's great because we need these little pep sessions every once in a while to get us excited about the Lord. You know, I think back to a story in the Bible. You know, Jesus had these 12 guys that followed him around. They called them the 12 disciples, and later on they were apostles. But they followed Jesus around everywhere that he went for the 3 years of his ministry. And these are guys that, these guys were like pumped up, you know what I'm saying? And they were ready to take over the world because Jesus Christ was going to be the king. He was the Messiah, and he was going to set things straight. And these guys were excited. I could just imagine as that last week came about. Here they were in the upper room, you know. And they had just looked past on what had been taking place in the last few weeks. They watched Jesus come into Jerusalem like a king, you know, on a donkey. You know, and people were laying down the palm leaves and saying, "Hail to the King, you know, who comes to save." And people were rejoicing in the fact that he was the new king. They watched as he went around healing people. They even watched him raise people from the dead. They watched in awe as he would take the religious leaders of the day and just sort of blow their minds away. You know, they kept trying to trip Jesus up, but Jesus always had something to confound them. They watched as he went even into the temple and knocked over the tables and cleaned out the house of all the evil and sin that was going on in there. Said, man, he's getting ready to set up shop here, and we're going to be numero uno in his kingdom. Imagine how they felt that day they looked up there and saw their expectations nailed to a cross. Imagine the feeling of loneliness that they had, of being the only ones in the world that followed this guy, and here he is, hanging up on a cross, ridiculed, mocked, and abused. Where do you think their expectations went? You know, I think of, you know, times like this. I remember when I was a kid and went to conventions and camp, and you leave all ready, you know, you're all pumped up and ready to go out there, and you got great high expectations. You're ready to win the world for Christ. You're ready to go back to school and make a stand for the Lord. You're ready to live that life of holiness you've been talking about. And you're going to go back and you're going to give it your all. I know you will. And you know, the things of the world are just going to, they're going to gnaw at you. And Satan's going to be after you. He's going to be working on your friends to make you feel like, well, maybe this isn't so important after all. Some of you, he's going to work on your parents who don't agree with your Christianity. And you're just going to gnaw away at that. He's going to work through television and the movies you watch to make your priorities be a little bit rearranged. And little by little, someday you're going to wake up and you're going to see all those expectations that you had at the Iowa Teen Convention nailed to a cross. Where did it all go? You know, that cross, it's really an irony because it is a symbol of defeat. That cross is a symbol of defeat. It is a symbol of man's defeat. It is a symbol of our defeat. A symbol of our inability to make it right. Our inability to do what's right. Well, you know, I read the end of the book in the Bible, and it says, we win. And you know, although that cross is a symbol of defeat, it is the absolute symbol of victory. Because what man put up there to destroy, Christ put up there to be victorious. The cross is a symbol of victory because of what Jesus Christ has accomplished on the cross. I think what I'm really trying to say, and this goes with the next song that we're going to do, we try so hard to live the Christian walk and to do all the Christian things. And we're going to leave here and we're going to try real hard. But on your own, you won't make it. I guarantee it. You know, Jesus Christ told his disciples that night in the upper room, he said,
He said, in this world, now see, Christ is getting ready to leave me. He says, in this world, you're going to face much trouble. You're going to face much tribulation. And, especially if you're going to go around trying to preach my word, if you're going to try and stand up for my name, you're going to face an awful lot of trouble. But he says, fear not, for I have overcome the world. I have overcome the world. The strength that is ours is Jesus Christ. Greater is He that is in us than he that is in the world. Say that with me. Greater is He that is in us than he that is in the world. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that is our victory. The cross is our victory. We'd like to share this song with you. It's a song called Overcome. And all of you, in one point or another, face some kind of defeat in your life. And I'm sure you face defeat trying to live that spiritual life of Christ. He wants us on our knees because He wants us to acknowledge the fact that we can't do it alone. But only through Jesus Christ and through His power and through His love can we accomplish that. church all my life. Went to Christian Bible college. Learned a lot about the Bible. And one thing I've learned through all my life experience, that if we really want to experience the power of Lord Jesus Christ, we have got to learn to worship His name. If you need to, close your eyes. If you're worried about what the person next to you thinks, then close your eyes. But we need to be lifting our voice to the Lord, because if we want to live that life, the Christian life, if we're going to be bold for His name, it starts right here. Singing, I love you, Lord. Singing, I love you, Lord. Singing, I
Well, today I'm not going to do that. Smattering of applause over on stage right. Now I want to talk to you about something a little different today, because that story is basically pretty old. It goes back to my high school days, and I just didn't want to tell that story and relate that. What I do want to tell you today, and I don't tell you this in order to receive a lot of attention or a lot of questions. I'm going to tell you this to illustrate something to you. This band has been together for 13 years, and tonight is our last concert together. And it's quite, frankly, it's a pleasure to be here with you on the last day. Like I said, I don't say that to, generate any questions or, any sympathy or anything like that, because we've had 13 very valuable years of which we've met a lot of wonderful people, and I don't mind telling you and standing up here in front of you and tell you that I love with all my heart every one of these guys on this stage, and I really appreciated sharing with them. So as you can see tonight, my message is somewhat of a more serious nature, and I figured if it was either I would come up here and just bawl my eyes out, or I'd be giggling so silly that I wouldn't get anything across anyway. But the reason I'm telling you this is, and I'll kind of get to that later, but something has occurred to me over the years as we've been to different churches, and sometimes we've been to churches twice. And we see a lot of people, just like Roger was talking about, in a day like this, the Spirit's moving, and you're there, and the emotion's going, and you're there with your friends, and the support is there, And then it just seems like, a month down the way, or 2 months, or maybe a year, you see some of those same people that were just so on fire. And quite frankly, you're tripping over them because they've fallen in the way. And I'm really tired of tripping over brothers and sisters in the way, because the problem is, you realize they haven't quite got the whole picture from the start. And so I started analyzing, what is the problem? Why do people make such a dedication? Why do they believe so much in the Lord Jesus Christ and accept Him to cover their sins? And why don't they accept the power that comes with Him to overcome, to get through life's daily struggles? And what I came to the conclusion is that a lot of our Christian faith is based on man-made things. You see, if you put a lot of faith in mirror image, and because mirror image says something, you see, we're gone tomorrow. We've been here for 13 years, and I don't know what you thought. Maybe you thought, sometimes I thought we would go on forever. But the point is, everything that is man-made comes to an end. We put a lot of faith into the TV programs and into our legislature. You know, how many activist groups do we have going trying to push through Christian morality into our legislative system? I'm not against it, but the problem is when it doesn't work, because it's a failed system anyway, we get all down and then we stumble. The abortion issue. We're making headway, but we're not making enough headway. And there's still little babies dying daily. Do you know why? It's because we're trying to change legislation instead of trying to change people's lives. We have a power that has been given to us, friends, that gives us victory. It gives us victory over sin. It gives us victory over life's daily struggles. It gives us victory over what we think we need. You see, I see kids today, and you know what? They're worried. Worried about what you say? It could be anything. They're worried whether or not their mom and dad are going to be together tomorrow. They're worried about whether we're going to be in some kind of nuclear war. They're worried about whether we're going to have enough water to drink in the next 10 years. They're worried about all of these things that this book right here says you don't need to be worried about. You see, the problem is two things as I see it. Number one, our foundation. And number two, our lack of maturity. So I want to address those two issues today, the foundation and the maturity. You know, in Matthew 7, Jesus is talking in the form of a parable. He says, therefore everyone, this is Matthew 7, the 24th verses. He says, therefore everyone who hears these words of mine and acts upon them may be compared to a wise man who built his house upon the rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and burst against that house, and yet it did not fall, for it had been founded upon the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine, you see, you've heard today, and does not act upon them, will be like a foolish man who built his house upon the sand. Let me take a little break here. I don't know how much you know about the Bible. But when a Bible calls someone foolish, that's probably about the lowest thing in the world you could be called. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and burst against the house, and it fell, and great was its fall. The result was that when Jesus had finished these words, the multitudes were amazed at his teaching, for he was teaching them as one having authority and not as their scribes. You see, Jesus is talking to a group of people here. And he says, all of you have heard now, because Jesus was talking and he had relayed to them the gospel message. And he says, if you act on the things that I tell you, if you claim those promises, you're going to be like a wise man. Now, how many of you want to be like a wise man? I hope more than that. That was sort of a rhetorical question. Okay, let me just give you, everybody raise their hand on this, okay? How many of you want to be like a wise man? Much better. Thank you. It's like, boy, is there anybody out there? Oh, excuse me, I was informed that was a sexist statement, a wise person. How many of you want to be a wise guy? That's always what I wanted to be, a wise guy. That's what my teachers used to say. Jamie has a lot of potential. He's a very wise guy. And that was the signal to laugh. You need cue cards up here, Sonny. It's like applause, laughter, raise your hands. You know, it's like have a little girl walking around. Time to applaud. Time to applaud. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, really. No, go on. No. No, go on. He said, uh-oh, we lost a breaker. He said, a wise man builds his house on a rock. Now, you know, I don't know if you've ever tried to build anything on a rock. Now, I helped Bob build his deck a couple years ago or whatever. And we had to go through some concrete. And Bob and I are no longer friends because of that. It was unbelievable what you had to go through just to get through. I mean, it was only this much, you know. The kind of rock that Jesus is talking about is, you know, just like in a mountain. And so I can understand what he's saying there. If you build your house on a rock, nothing is going to move it. And he talks about the wind and the waves came and tossed it around, but it was not moved. And then he goes the opposite side of that. You that build your house on the sand are like those people who hear, those of you who hear and don't act on what I say are like the people who build a house on the sand. I don't know if you know about sand, but we played down in Florida this year, and we were laying there on a beach, you know. And, I mean, if you sat down in the sand, you know, it wouldn't take very long that, you know, that water coming in, your legs would be covered with sand, you know. I don't know why we did that, but it seemed fun at the time. That was a laughter cue. Yeah, that was good. It wasn't really a ha-ha. It was just kind of a, you know, just like, oh, isn't that cute? But he says, if you don't act on these things and you're like the man that builds your house on sand, and it will just be washed away. And you see, I see that's one of the things that's happening today to our youth, and not just to the youth, but to sponsors and things. They put their faith in the sand. We put a lot of faith in the conventions, in the seminars, in the TV programs, and you see our faith needs to be right here, folks, in this word. Nothing else will do. Nothing. You know, we come to these teen conventions and we learn a lot of cute little sayings, you know, to say to our friends, you know, to let them know we're Christians, and you know, we bubble through the high school things, say, you know, I'm a Christian and I'm okay, and you know, I'm okay, you're okay. No. To the world, you're not okay. You're weird. And that's what you are. You are weird if you're a Christian, because that's not the way the world looks at you. You're unnatural. And so many times we try and overcompensate for this weirdness by coming up with all this little cute stuff, you know, like Christian rock and roll and cute little sayings and things like that. But the basis is in this book. It's in the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ our Lord. That is where you find your identity. That is your rock. That is your rock. The second thing I talked about was maturity. You may very well have your foundation on something very solid. Hopefully, you know, the gospel message. But just like Bob's deck, if we would have just sunk the poles into the concrete and left it there, I mean, he would have got no enjoyment out of the deck whatsoever. In fact, it would have been quite an eyesore. You should have seen the mess we had. It was terrible. So what we need to do is, once that foundation is built, we need to build on that foundation. Brought to mind a passage in 2 Peter. 2 Peter, the 1st chapter, the 5th verse, it says, now for this very reason also, applying all diligence. Now see, it says applying. That means adding on, adding to, building on to. Applying all diligence in your faith. Supply moral excellence, and in your moral excellence knowledge, and in your knowledge self-control, and in your self-control perseverance, and in your perseverance godliness, and in your godliness brotherly kindness, and your brotherly kindness Christian love. For if these qualities are yours and are increasing, they render you neither useless nor unfruitful in the true knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. For he who lacks these qualities is blind or short-sighted, having forgotten his purification from his former sins. Therefore, brethren, be all the more diligent to make certain about his calling and choosing for you. For as long as you practice these sayings, here's the promise, you will never stumble. You will never stumble. I want you to say that with me. Here's what I want you to say. For as long as you practice, say that.
For as long as you practice,
You will never stumble.
you will never stumble.
Okay, now let's say it. For as long as I practice, I had to kind of reword it here. This is the poetic license. For as long as I practice these things,
For as long as I practice these things,
I will never stumble.
I will never stumble.
Say it again. For as long as I practice these things, I will never stumble. For as long as I practice these things, I will never stumble. Let me hear it loudly. For as long as I practice these things, I will never stumble. That is a promise. That is a victory. You see, we got to quit worrying about where we think we're losing and concentrate on where we're winning. We need to supply ourselves moral excellence, knowledge, get into the Word, talk to God, get on your knees and pray. It's funny to me that MC Hammer's the only one that's got that, you know. Oh, get me pray, pray, to get me pray. You get me pray to get through the day. Amen. Sorry, Doug. Won't blow your cones. You know, I think of Daniel. Here's a guy that's got nothing going for him. Number one, he's a Jew. He gets robbed from his hometown and brought into, was it Babylon, I think. I mean, that's like, that. I mean, seriously, and I don't say this in any joking manner, that'd be like President Bush being shipped over to Iraq. I mean, you know, they hated the Jews, and so, but he made the best of the situation. You know what it says in the Bible? Every day he was found praying toward Jerusalem. And that made the people so mad that the king's followers put out a decree or law or whatever it was to make him stop praying. And you know what? He didn't stop. He kept praying because he knew where his power was. And they threw him in the lion's den, and God shut the lion's mouths, and he overcame. We have got at our access the power to overcome, as Roger talked about earlier and we sang about. We need to base our foundation on the fact that Jesus Christ died for you, and he died for me, and he rose again. And there's no other way that we can have an identity, that we can meet God except through that provision of grace. And then we need to start building on the foundation. I'd like to ask you to stand. It really has been a pleasure being here with you today. I see a lot of friends I'm going to miss. Today, I want to know that some of you brothers and sisters that I'm seeing here, I'm not going to be stumbling over in the way a year down the line, or 2 years down the line, or tomorrow. I want you to commit in your heart that you're going to build on this foundation of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And then I want you to commit to raising up that maturity level, to becoming a mature person. And I got 3 little boys, 2, 4, and 6. And each one of them are at different levels of maturity. You know, we're going through stuff with the youngest one we went through 4 years ago with the oldest one. And it's just because their maturity level is different, but they're all coming along. And right now, some of the stuff that the 2-year-old's doing, if my 6-year-old's doing it, I mean, we think it's cute when he does it. And the 6-year-old can't understand why we think it's cute and we smack him when he does it, you know. It's like it doesn't make sense. You see, there's a difference in the maturity level. You can expect more out of Braden, my oldest one, than I can out of Justin. And Casey, he's in there running around somewhere in between. But you know what? Those little brothers help each other. That's the way it should be in the family of God. We're all at different maturity levels. Some of us, God help you, just need help going to the bathroom. And others of you are starting your own families. And we need to really help each other. Right now, I'd like for you to think and place on your heart, know where your weaknesses are. Come down here in the front. Give them up to God. Make a decision today to build on the foundation. And if you don't know Jesus Christ, make a decision today to at least, at the very least, come up here and ask some more questions about it. Sonny will be here to receive whoever comes forward, and they can be taken off to a room and prayed with and talked to. So come forward now as we sing. I had decided. I just want to say thank you for just really getting excited about us playing another song.
The guys nominated me to say a few quick words here. As Jamie said, we're all at different maturity levels. We all have different amounts of education, different amounts of Christian experiences, different age groups, different family styles. But no matter what, we all have something in common. And that's that sooner or later, there will come a time when we all will bow down before Jesus Christ. Bow down.
Out of film anyway, so I want to